The Roman war machine was feared throughout the ancient era, but today it will be put to the test. Can it overcome these forces from the east, or will the dominance of the east be taken back by Atro and the Indians? Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Jackie Fish, and welcome back to some more Total War Rome 2 Divide et Impera. Today's replay was sent into me by the Colosseum Discord. I'll leave a link to it down below in the description. They focus primarily on Divide et Impera and showing off the awesome online battles that come from the mod. The units in DEI are absolutely spectacular. The battle mechanics are the best, I think, in any Total War, in my opinion. They're really good, and they focus heavily on bringing you guys DEI competitive battles, scenario battles. So if you guys like the sound of that, you want to find more people to play DEI with, make sure you join their Discord. They're also currently running a pretty special tournament at the moment, and I think they're still looking for more players to join it. It's basically going to be a 1v1 tournament where you're going to be put into teams. Each team gets given a certain culture. So for example, there'll be like a Roman team where they only get to play as Rome, and a Carthaginian team, and so on and so on. And we'll see which culture comes out on top, which country comes out on top and kind of dominates the tournament. They have very skilled players. I think there's a ton of really tournament winning players from Rome Total War playing in the Discord and in the tournament. And even if you're just a newer player looking to get some experience, this is a great place to be. I will obviously, as I said, link their Discord down below in the description, but I'll also leave a bit more information about their tournament down there as well. So I highly recommend you check it out, and we'll see what they have to offer in this battle. So welcome. So as I said, in this battle we have Atro over on the right hand side. We have the Indians on the far left. They're going up against the Seleucids and a force from Rome that hasn't quite come into view quite yet. They're just coming into view right now as the Romans march forward, looking absolutely amazing like they do. Oh god, I love the Romans. They're just so good in DEI. They just look absolutely spectacular. They really do. But let's take a quick look at the army comps. I don't want to take too long on these army comps, but if you guys do want to see more about them, then let me know in the comments. Maybe for 1v1s when I do the tournament replays on the channel, I will go ahead and go a bit more into depth into their army comps. But I think in a 2 vs 2 there's just not enough time, and you guys don't want to sit here for 6 minutes. However, the units are absolutely spectacular. DEI does a great job of making them look amazing. So as we have Atro, if you don't know where they are, they're basically next to Parthia. So they're going to be relying on a pretty similar roster to them. They're going to have kind of light to medium infantry. They've got a few units of skirmishers here as well that kind of do, add up to a kind of, I guess, a skirmisher slash heavy infantry unit. And they're going to be mixed in with some lighter infantry scattered around. You can see the 300-man units right there, and then the 200-man more elite units. There's a great way in DEI to tell what's really like elite and what's kind of more of your fodder units is the unit sizes. Generally, elite units come in about 200, and more fodder units come in these bigger 300-man blocks. However, that's not to say 300-man units are a pushover. They have numbers, and they definitely do use them. Behind that, we do have, again, more lighter infantry, and then some Spara Bara coupled in with some more archers. I think the scariest unit for Atro is going to be these longbowmen. I mean, look at them big boy bows. They are going to do some serious work against the heavily armored Seleucids, and then obviously their cavalry as well are going to be pretty scary, obviously. Probably having some Parthian influences there. Again, these guys, basically heavily armored knights. They literally are knights right there. Then for India, I think their main kind of most exciting thing is going to be their elephants, of course, and this big blob of 60 chariots. If this goes into a back of the Roman or Seleucid line, that is going to rip them apart. Unfortunately, we don't have scythes on them, but I think that's just more of a graphical thing rather than anything else. And then for their front line, again, they're going to be kind of, mixing with the Greco-Indian kind of roster. And again, I've played against India quite a lot in the head-to-head that I did with Republic of Play, so I know I've got a good idea about what their good units are, and it's mainly going to be these bad boys right here. Their archers have an extremely long range. I think it's around about 215 on their longbows, so they definitely dominate that range fight extremely well. Then the Romans on their front line, they're going to be mixed in with some of these cohort legionaries, and then some of the lighter ones as well. I think on this far, no, this is an entire front line, 5-6 units of these elite cohort legionaries, and as we go back, we again have the lighter ones. So obviously Rome be doing Rome things, focusing on these heavy infantry, and again, I mean, the models just look absolutely spectacular. I don't think I'm actually even on the highest graphics either. Am I not on the highest graphics? Did I turn it down for a reason? I'm not sure if I did. Oh, for some reason that is not all the way up. Let's just do that. Sorry. There we go, finally max graphics. There was a lot of things that weren't actually turned all the way up, but you can see it just look absolutely spectacular. Amazing, I can't wait. I mean, look at that sword, man. That sword looks so good. So anyway, that's enough oogling and ogling over the Roman formation. Heavy infantry, you know the drill. And then obviously we also have the Seleucids as well. They're going to be mixing in some of these really, really good peltis, royal peltis, mixed in with I think about 5 units of the silver shields. Yeah, 5 units of silver shields on the front line, and then some Furios infantry. They also have a unit of elephants of their own, not going to match up quite to the Indians, but still pretty good. I mean, I'm pretty sure these are Indian elephants. Yeah, they are Indian elephants. Actually, 2 units of elephants. Pretty scary right there. But I believe the Indian ones in the roster are much better. And we also have some armored chariots as well. These are scary. These are really scary, so we're going to have to see what they can do. And then obviously as well, we have the elite cataphracts as well. I mean, oh my god. The Seleucids are just such a good looking faction. They kind of have the mix of like Greek and Indian look to them. I mean, oh, it just looks so sexy in DEI. Absolutely spectacular. So let's get into this battle. So it seems like the battle is already kicking off, really. We're getting a big push, a big divide in the center, and this is really good for the Eastern forces, as if they can divide and conquer the Romans, split them in 2 and wrap around. This would be very beneficial because it means that both the Indians and Atro can support each other pretty effectively by like linking up their formation like this, and just kind of fighting on 2 fronts. So we're gonna have to see if they can push this advantage. However, the Seleucids are quite quickly moving back in. They don't want to get too far away from the Romans. And the nice thing is as well, like these are very good players playing in this battle, so I don't really have to like, I can kind of understand majority of the time what they are exactly doing. So we're going to have some archers as well firing in. I'm sorry, again, I hate doing this. I'm just turning the music up a little bit as well, because it is kind of quiet. Did I mess up again? There we go, music turned up. So yeah, these longbowmen are going to be severely able to just completely outreach the Romans. But as you can see, the Romans have brought next to literally 1 unit of archers. So they're going to just sit there and take this missile fire. And it's going to be very hard for them to really kind of counter push this. But I guess in this testudo, they are pretty safe. But this does make them, you know, a lot less maneuverable when they are in this testudo. They don't really form up, you know, super well. And these volleys are going to still be able to find their marks on these auxiliary units who necessarily can't form up the testudo. I believe they can still form a shield wall, which will give them some missile support. But they are going to still be under a bit of heavy missile fire. Will be surprising to see if the Indians do look to kind of save their ammunition, or, you know, go ahead and just try and fire off as many volleys as possible. The Seleucids are now shifting over, realizing that they necessarily don't want to get enveloped. But this is giving Atro a lot of time to push up their formation. They can quite easily find themselves like hitting these pikemen in the side and kind of stopping the Seleucids in their step. They obviously don't want to avoid their fire too much. And this is really obviously a very beneficial way. But as you can see, the Romans are coming together with them, I guess, filling this hole right here. And kind of forming up a more sturdy battle line, backing off as they do. Pretty smart move there, finding themselves a bit out of position, then quickly coming in. Because I think realistically, this battle is going to be very, very hard for the Eastern forces to overrun Rome and the Seleucids, like in a head-on fight. They really need to get these envelopments on the go. They really need to seize their special units, like their chariots and their elephants and their missiles, to kind of really drive home the advantage. Because in DEI, it's not like vanilla. Battles do units do hold a lot longer. They don't just get kind of slaughtered in 2 seconds. The units do fight for a decent amount of time, and outflanking and enveloping units is crucial. If you get a good recharge on a pike unit, it will most likely break. If you envelop a unit, it will take severely higher casualties, and that's really your way from breaking through as the Romans just advance slowly but surely. You've really got just to rely on kind of, you know, more kind of strategic battle maneuvering rather than just sitting back and just kind of trying to just punch your way through an enemy line, because it will just take you much longer. It's more about the outmaneuvering, and it's more about kind of good matchups for the units as the javelins come in. Luckily, these testudos are absorbing them pretty well. The Romans are going to seize to kind of fall back a little bit, not looking to completely overcommit here. They obviously also want to try and utilize their peeler as well as best as they can. They are going to commit here, but the fight is going to kick off. We do have some of the auxiliary units moving in. These are the auxiliaries from, I guess, Germany. moving in. But that's a pretty poor matchup for them. Diving into these macemen, that's going to be a hard fight, especially with the missile fire coming in as well. Missile fire does reduce the ability to fight in combat as well, because they obviously have to keep their shields up high, so that makes them a little bit more vulnerable as well from frontal fighting. There we go, the battle lines have now clashed, and the Romans are falling back, which again opens up a pretty nice avenue. If they want to seize this advantage, they could try and wrap around here and move in like that. However, the Romans are immediately being pushed in. Over on this other side as well, we have a big missile off. However, the awesome Sparabara, one of the best units in the entire game in my opinion right here, have already kind of dominated that missile fight. And the superior missile fire as well is really helping out against all these silver shield pikemen. You know, the pikes are sturdy, they're heavily armored Greeks. However, they are going to be struggling. They've already dominated some missiles up here. And basically, these pikes just need to get stuck into combat as soon as possible. All these chariots are moving up as well. They're going to go right into these guys. They've braced though, so this is not going to be a good charge. Especially as they're under heavy missile fire as well. These are peltists, which are going to get really stuck in. And these chariots have just stopped. Oh no. I think these chariots maybe, you have to really micromanage the chariots. I think what happened is this unit of chariots like hit this unit and then just kind of stopped as if it's like charged it. And now it's like reforming, or maybe it got stuck on its own unit. That is a real shame right there, because these peltists are going to absolutely demolish them. The cavalry did come in as well, getting again stuck on your own unit. You can see what happened here. Basically, I think happened to the chariots. These units are bulky, dense. There's a lot of dense units in Divide et Impera, so because of that, cavalry can't just run through it like it's nothing. And look at this, the silver shields are now finally making their way into combat, but they are bloody. They've lost about 25 men across the board. And you can also see as well on the unit card in the center of the screen, it's kind of small because I'm playing on 1440p. However, you can see that, you know, the vigor of a unit, how tired it is, does play a big difference. These guys are active, so they're fighting at 90% strength right now, not at 100%. So the more tired a unit gets, obviously, the worse it's going to fight. And you can see on the other side, the Atro units are fighting a little bit more effectively as they do go toe-to-toe. Unfortunately as well, these pikemen don't actually have their pikes down either, so they're fighting in a prolonged fight. Instead of doing what this unit is doing and really engaging it. Over on the left side, you can see that the Roman line has been completely wrapped around itself, preventing any envelopment and kind of also trying to stop this mass cavalry engagement. Because again, the Romans are so heavily focused on this infantry. They're more than happy to take this prolonged engagement as they continue to commit more and more infantry, and their archers are doing some serious work. However, the cheaper cohorts are making their way around the side. I say cheaper cohorts, this is a unit Praetorian Guard that has made its round the side and is about to go flying into the back of these macemen, and that's going to be a good matchup for them, but not a good matchup in the back right there as they go flying in, hitting them down, and that's going to do some serious damage. Golden Chevron Praetorian Guard. Oh my god, they have an insane melee attack. However, by doing this, by coming around the flank, you open yourself up to rear charges, missile fire moving in, and other pretty dangerous stuff. If we just go down the battle line as well, so you guys can get a good idea about what's happening, as you can see more of these Greco infantry moving in. I mean, for the most part, the Greeks are pretty well off because they do have Greco-Indian units, which are, you know, basically hoplites. So they can definitely hold the line against the Romans. But my god, DEI just looks absolutely beautiful. And I should really probably be looking at a competitive match, but obviously a lot of stuff happens pretty fast, and a 2v2 as well. That's why I'm definitely looking forward to the awesome tournament they're going to be hosting. That's going to be loads of 1v1s, which we're going to be able to get really stuck into some deadly stuff. And here we go, the chariots from the Seleucids diving in to these poor Atro units. You need to obviously micro them very heavily. If the chariots get stuck, then they are slaughtered. Unfortunately, this is not like the chariots Total War Troy. These are, you know, kind of a bit more realistic. They will smash into a unit, devastate it, trample it. However, if they get bogged down, which they definitely can in dense unit packs, they'll get slaughtered. I say realistic, they are just retreating with sides of their own men, which would realistically be catastrophic, and that's one of the reasons chariots weren't used very often. But if we go back to the Seleucid battle line, you can see that their pikemen, you know, even after that massive pounding the Seleucids did take from the missile fire from Atro, the pikes are still pikes. They're still doing serious work, and I'm surprised we're not seeing the Atro player back up. Generally, what you want to do against pikes is just fall back. Like they bring their line up like this, and then all you do is you just bring this unit back and you hold here. It creates gaps in your own line, but it also forces the pikemen to either make a decision to go forward to follow that unit, which then leaves it up to flanks for other units to come in, or they stay there and basically do nothing. So yeah, I'm interested. That's always a really good strategy to use against them. I'm surprised we're not seeing it, but again, maybe he just wants to try and hold them in place, because if they're in place, they're not doing too much. The unit of bowmen about to get charged down here, and a big cavalry push moving in now, looking to seize any advantage. However, the Seleucids have got a good envelopment there. Some Romans who are really struggling, but Praetorians have formed a square formation, looking to repel. God, it feels like Teutoburg Forest up in here. They're looking to form this square, which will give them a pretty good defensive bonus and basically make it so that they're unflankable. Pretty good. These base weapons are good work though. 64 kills on them, not too bad considering what they're fighting. And we have the chariots of the Seleucids moving up. Again, chariots get killed very, very quickly by missile fire as well. But the Indian elephants have made their way all the way around the back here. And I also actually missed as well. Let's actually pause it for a second because I do want to see that big elephant engagement. It does seem like the Seleucids, I'm not sure if it's the Seleucids or if it's the Ashobakan that have been caught here. I guess it's Atro got caught here because the Seleucids have pulled back all their cavalry. So I guess they were trying to pulling their horses around to maybe try and envelop the Roman line. But it does seem like they have now been engaged by the Seleucid horse. And that's going to be dangerous. Obviously, elephants are in this engagement as well. And elephants are generally really good at killing horses because they scare horses. And there's not really much the horses can do against them. So, yeah, generally the elephants are a very good matchup. However, they are being beaten back in this situation. And we do see the cavalry fight over there. So Atro might lose their general, which is going to be a pretty big blow. But now we do have the elephants moving in here. Fire arrows being thrown in as well. And as you can see, look at that. Atro is bringing more and more missiles around. Oh, sorry, India are bringing more missiles around. And I love the way they've done this. These elephants are close to breaking already, which is super surprising. But I guess they are enveloped and there are some fire arrows coming in as well. But the infantry is moving in. We're getting more of the Greco-Furios swords, spears being brought in against the Romans. But I really like this kind of engagement right here by the Indians. They're utilizing their missiles, and because Rome is such a stationary force, they're basically seizing this advantage to bring missiles around. However, Rome is not stupid. They're not going to get enveloped, and they're going to look to try and seize the advantage here, having huge numbers. And maybe India has stretched a bit too thin here. Gaps are starting to appear as this battle does start to break down, and the elephants are running amok from cavalry unit to cavalry unit. They really need to try and make their way into the back of these lines. However, the Roman infantry doing serious work. And the morale, though, on some of the auxiliary units is not looking good, but the Atro front line is dwindling. The Seleucids are able to really do some serious work. The right flank is completely broken, and that's given Atro some time to bring some more infantry over to these fights. Again, another really important thing in Divide Death Impera, cavalry can't put out of engagements very well. In DEI, if you commit a unit of cavalry to an engagement, they're kind of stuck into that engagement unless you want to take casualties. And when I say casualties, I mean about 10 to 20% of the unit by pulling out most of the time if it's a fresh unit. And then you also take a big morale bonus as well because you're taking heavy casualties and you're being flanked as well because you've turned your backs to the enemy and you're running away. So because of that, it's always like very difficult to retreat from a cavalry fight, which means you have to pick your engagements very effectively. And a lot of the time it comes down to who can bring infantry to that fight first, who can commit spearmen to cover and support their cavalry, kind of like Alexander. And that's why light infantry is so good. There's a big distinction in this game, in this mod, about, you know, medium, heavy and light infantry, which is just so amazing. If you don't play DEI, please do. I've got a really good Roman guide on my channel, to search it up, and also check out their Discord down below because it's just such an amazing mod, it really is. And I'm excited that this Discord is really starting to pop off with exciting tournaments because that's going to make for some really, really cool battles. And as you can see, the Romans are just holding on this right flank now. They are surrounded, but forming these squares is going to be pretty goddamn deadly. Basically just meaning that even though they've been breached here as well, it basically means that they're not going to win these fights, but they're just going to slow up the enemy, and that's going to buy enough time for the rest of the forces to come over. It does seem like the Seleucids just overpowering the enemy. However, the Seleucid cavalry did get smashed here, and their general is pretty low. As you can see right here, he's taking casualties. He's slower as well, which is really important. As I said, there's a super big distinction between light cavalry and heavy cavalry. So this unit is trying to pull out, but they're super heavy cavalry, so they're slow, and this lighter cavalry can just run them down as they pull out. And this is the enemy general, so committing back there was pretty deadly for them. There you go, the Seleucid general has now broken, which is obviously going to send a shockwave throughout the unit. It's going to be much easier to envelop them. However, there is a lot of Seleucids still left remaining, and they are forming this tight noob square in preventing themselves from getting enveloped. If you take a look at the overall field of the battle, it does look like the Romans are doing a great job. The Seleucids, Atros still have a decent amount of men left, but the Seleucids are boxing up and just kind of trying to buy time until the Romans can seize victory against the Indians in that fight. And again, there are still some missiles left. The skirmish cavalry is going to be doing great. But yeah, there's not really much over here. And I think, the Seleucids did a great job. It does seem like they kind of traded pretty evenly, but they did also commit some of their peltists over to this fight on the left-hand side. You can see the Roman cavalry now going in against the archers. It can also be quite deceiving as well sometimes because like these peltists have a sword as their symbol, so you're not sure what they are, so you move up to like engage them, and when you get like 50 javelins thrown your way, it can be pretty dangerous. Yeah, it does seem like India unfortunately has basically been broken. They have one unit of spearmen right here about to get fully rear charged, or a unit of hoplites here. I imagine these Roman cavalry will be coming into the back of them pretty soon. Also, I mentioned this as well, again, just for those of you who necessarily don't know too much about DEI, again, the front lines of like hoplite walls and pike walls are almost impenetrable. They just don't break, they really don't. So if you're, like, I know on Rome, on Vanilla, it's pretty deadly, a pike wall. A pike wall, actually, yeah, I'd say it's more deadly than Vanilla, because in Vanilla, units do actually break through kind of conveniently and get into the pike wall, so they do take some casualties. In DEI, that very rarely happens. So pikes are almost impossible to deal with head-on. You want to shoot them with missiles. Luckily, basically every unit in this game does have a javelin. Most of them do, at least 1 or 2 javelins to throw before engagements. So you generally want to either back up from them, kind of out-position them, out-maneuver them, because you are so much faster than them and they're really slow and immobile. Or you want to hit them with all your missile fire, or just envelop them. If you envelop them, they'll break, they'll go down. Luckily, these are silver shields, so they're kind of like the creme de la creme of pikemen, but even still, like even a silver shield unit will break if you put enough pressure on them. And it does seem like the end for Atro is here. So yeah, the Seleucids and the Romans are like super top tier factions. I was expecting this to really go down this way. But Atro and India did put up a very good fight. And it's great seeing them as well, because they are, I think they're more of the 2 more recent factions in DEI who have received updates. So their units look spectacular. And that's another reason why I'm really looking forward to this tournament as well, because it's going to hopefully bring out a ton of different factions you don't necessarily see all the time, and really cool builds as well. So make sure you are subscribed if you're not already, because as I said, we will be covering a bunch of tournament battles hopefully, which will be very, very exciting. But yeah, the end of Atro is here. Got a few units who have routed. I'm pretty sure this battle has slightly desynced, because it does say we're on a different version, even though we're both on the Steam version. But as you can see, I think it's just these units who continue to rout, or maybe they have been forgotten about. Because units do break and come back. That is a thing in this game, but it's done in a much better way as well than it is in, say, Warhammer, where they like route in a stupid direction or do something silly. The Seleucids are now backed up with a line of elite Romans, so nothing to really worry about there. I think this battle is fairly won. But I'm interested to see what units really racked up the kills in this engagement. Apparently there's still 2 minutes left in this battle. I guess I do have to still chase down a few of these straggling units and still try and break, some units over here as well. But are fully surrounded. Vespara Bara doing their job, and because these guys, I guess, are just fighting pikemen. That's another thing as well. Pikes don't necessarily kill as quickly as they do in Vanilla. They're much more kind of slower holding force rather than just a killing machine like pikes are in Rome, in Vanilla. So they definitely do their damage. but it's kind of a lot more over time. So again, you can kind of use that time to outflank the pikes, you know, commit a light unit to them. Oh, also as well, if you don't know, as well in DEI, there's really cool pike mechanics as well, where you have to actually micromanage them, which again actually adds some skill to the pikes. You have to, so if you just leave them still and the enemy charges you, then you'll just kind of, you know, fend them off but not move. Then if you want to actually attack the enemy a bit more aggressively, you have to right click the unit you want to attack, and then the pikes will more actively go at them. And then if you want to kind of like march forward in a pike line, you want to double right click, and you do this for each and every individual unit. So there might be times where you just want to kind of hold the line and you just right click once. There might be times where you want to be a bit more aggressive, you want to just break the enemy like this, and you'll double right click and you'll push forward. And you can think, oh, it doesn't sound that complicated, but when you're doing it on a scale of, you know, when you have like 6 or 7 hoplites or pikes in your army, it definitely does become pretty micro-intensive when you're trying to worry about missiles and cavalry and outflanking and stuff. And again, it just adds in a bit more skill to what is pretty much a brain-dead unit, which I love to see. And there you go. The battle is over. The last of that show being enveloped. Cavalry coming in. Finishing them off once and for all. Beautiful stuff right there. Absolutely spectacular stuff. And that's going to be GG. As I said, I kind of expected it to go that way. And generally, it does happen like this in DEI as well. Pretty often, there will be like one much larger victor. Like the battle will look like it was completely unbalanced, but in reality, it was a lot closer than that, because units tend to break at a much higher number rather than in like vanilla when they kind of fight to the last man. In DEI, you end up generally only killing around about, you know, 30 to 40% of the enemy army, and then kind of the other percentage, if you're winning, really comes down to like kind of just units routing and stuff like that. Kind of more, a bit more historically, you know, generally after a battle, historically in the ancient era, unless it's Cannae, majority of these, you only end up killing like 20% of the enemy army, more than anything else in battle. So yeah, let's take a look at the kills. Did anyone really overperform? Atro Archers, as we expected, did a really serious job. Over for India as well. Yeah, them chariots were so sad, they really were. Luckily, again, though, the elephants kind of picked up the slack, and so did the macemen as well. Very nice indeed. Over on the Roman side of things, legionaries doing legionary things, that is for sure. Yeah, even these Praetorians doing very nice as well. And then obviously over on this side as well, the Cretan archers got massacred by the Indians, and the elephants didn't do too great, but the chariots, 300 kills, absolutely filthy indeed. And these Galatian mercenaries as well, pretty good job as well. That's another great thing about DEI as well, is that the rosters are very diverse. You know, they kind of bring area of recruitment and other units into the game, which is very exciting. So yeah, thank you so much to the Colosseum guys for sending in this replay. Again, make sure you join their Discord, make sure you check out their tournament, whether you're a veteran player or you're a new player. Definitely go check them out, they're super friendly, and hopefully you can get yourself into some battles and hopefully get some awesome replays that I can go ahead and use and cover as well. As I said, their tournament is going to be being run as well, and I think they're going to be hosting it on Twitch and stuff like that. So if you want to check that out, they'll be having links in their Discord. So just join the Discord, you'll find out way more information about the tournament and stuff. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.